Click subscribe to Proper English Online for more real English conversations with native speakers every week. Like my lessons? Support me on Patreon. Patrons can download every worksheet for every lesson. Hey guys, this is Lee from Proper English Online, and this is the worksheet video for Intermediate Lesson 6, talking about a book. So in this lesson, we're going to learn some phrases for talking about books that you don't like. In the conversation, they talked about what was the book, Crime and Punishment. One of the speakers didn't like the book. So we'll learn some phrases to talk about books you don't like. Also, we're going to learn some multi-word verbs. Some phrases, verb phrases that use more than one word. Very natural, sounds more like a native speaker. Also, we'll have some various phrases that we heard in the listening. So before we get started with those phrases, let's take a look at your worksheet. On the first 2 pages, you'll see we've got the listening script, but there are some missing words. I'd like you to listen again as many times as you like and fill in these missing words. So when you've done that, we can come back and we'll start looking at this vocabulary in more detail. But in the meantime, fill in those missing words and I'll see you in a bit. God, I'm so glad we're through reading this. That was such hard work.
What, you mean the Dostoevsky book?
Yeah, I was sick of it before we even had the second class. I'm so glad we're going to move on to a new book next week.
It's a classic though, Crime and Punishment. You really didn't like it?
Well, I studied it. We learned about it. We wrote an essay on it. I don't have to enjoy it too.
I suppose not. Why didn't you like it then?
What, just because it's a classic, I have to adore it and talk about how great it is?
No, I'm genuinely curious. What didn't you like about the book?
Well, for one thing, it's just way too long. It was so hard to read through the chapters in the middle of the book. Nothing happens, nothing. It's just this sad man talking about how sad he is.
Well, it's a bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, I know. I went to the lectures too. It wasn't just too long. I found some of the writing really, dull.
What do you mean, dull?
You know, I like colourful writing, where you can imagine more and get lost in the words. This was just so cold and boring.
Well, it is translated from Russian. Don't you think that color might get lost in translation?
Well, Professor Swan talked about that, didn't she? Oh, to really understand this text, you simply must read it in Russian. I hate her, really.
But she was right, though.
So what? It still made the book boring to me. And anyway, I'm not going to just start learning Russian just so I can read Dostoevsky.
Yeah, but I don't think she was really suggesting that we learn Russian.
Oh, whatever. Anyway, do you know what the next book is going to be? The one we start reading next week?
War and Peace, I think.
Okay guys, so hopefully now we filled in those missing words. So let's take a look at some expressions we heard in the conversation. So we heard these phrases giving opinions about the book. First one was, I found some of the writing really dull. This one, well for one thing, it's just way too long. This one too, I was sick of it. And the next one, that was such hard work. Guys, I would like you to look at these phrases here and match them with these meanings. So firstly, that was so difficult and boring. Which phrase means this? Also, I was very bored with it. Which of these 4 phrases has this meaning? Also here, I thought it was. One phrase or one chunk in these examples has this meaning. Also a phrase which means firstly. And finally, a phrase which means far too long. Let's pause this video and match these 4 phrases here. I mean these ones, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4. These ones. Match these with these examples above, these types of phrases. Pause this video and think. Okay guys, so the first one here, I found some of the writing really dull. I found, this expression means I thought it was. So I found some of the writing really dull. I thought some of the writing was really dull. The next one too, this one here, for one thing. Well, for one thing, this means firstly, or to begin with. It's kind of an organizing phrase. So again, well, for one thing, well, firstly, Our next example, it was just way too long. Way too long has the same meaning as far too long. Way too long, far too long. The next one, I was sick of it. This means I was very bored with it. I was bored with it. I was sick of it. And the last one, that was such hard work, means it was difficult and boring. It was hard work, difficult and boring. Okay guys, so let's take a look at some of these phrases in even more detail now. So instead of saying I think it is adjective, we can say find it adjective or I find it adjective. So for example, we might use this form here. Subject, find or found something adjective. We've got the form here. I found some of the writing really dull. I think this phrase is really good because we don't need to change the order at all. I think it is dull, or I thought it was dull. We can say I found it dull. It's more concise, right? So I thought it was dull. 5 words. I found it dull. It's quicker. Also, very natural phrase. I don't hear enough non-native speakers saying this phrase. Really good one. Very common phrase too. So also, when talking about things we don't like, we can add way in front of to plus an adjective. So if something is too adjective, too hot, too cold, too long, too whatever, too some negative adjective usually. So this one here means you don't like it, right? It's too whatever. It's too hot, too cold, too boring, too long, something like that, or too short. We can add the word way in front of that. And why do we do that? Well, it makes it stronger. So we could say, for example, we had already, what was the example? It's just way too long. It's way too long. So here we've got our subject plus be, was or is, way too long. And the adjective is often a negative adjective. In this case has a negative meaning. Way too long. Way too long. It was just way too long. Okay. So, guys, we looked at these phrases from before. Now, let's think about our pronunciation in these phrases. Which words do we stress in the 4 examples? I'll do the first one with you. I found some of the writing. I found some of the writing. So here, small stress on found, big stress on writing, because this is our content word. This is the thing we're talking about. I found some of the writing. Now, notice I'm saying some of the, I say some of the, all right? Some of the here disappears and I get some of the writing. The rest of them, which words do I stress? Okay, pause this video and think. Okay guys, so the next example, well, for one thing, we stress one, don't we? Also, we don't say for one thing. Look again at how I say it. For one thing, it's right? It's a very short, weak sound, so we pronounce it like this. For one thing, for one thing. All right, now, the next one too, way too long, way too long. So here we have a big stress on way too long. Also a stress on long, but not as big. Way too long, way too long. How about the next one? I was sick of it. I was sick of it. So this one here, I was sick of it. Big stress on, big stress on sick, and maybe also a small stress on it too. But also important here is our linking. Lots of sounds get linked together here. What can we see? I was sick of it. So this K joins this O, and we don't say sick of it, sick of. It's sick of it, right? So it's kv, sick of it. I was sick of it, and this joins too. I was sick of it. I was sick of it. Sorry guys, excuse my poor handwriting there. Try again. I was sick of it. Now the last one here. That was such hard work. That was such hard work. Here, stress on that. Maybe put a small one. Big one here is such hard work. That was such hard work. That was such hard work. Okay guys, so we looked at these phrases. We talked about their meaning, how to use them, bit of pronunciation too. So let's see, how can we use these phrases? I'd like you to think of a book or a film even you didn't like. Now, why didn't you like it? Now explain using these phrases. So pause this video, think about a film or a book or whatever that you didn't like, and talk about why you didn't like it. Pause this video and think. Okay guys, so now we've talked about those phrases, let's move on to some other things we heard in the conversation. We're going to talk about some multi-word verbs now that we can use to talk about reading books. We can see them here. Got 3 examples. I'd like you to fill in the missing words, and then I'd like you to match them with these meanings below. So we've got where something, reading this, and this word begins with T. We need to fill in that missing word. Next one too. We're going to move something to a new book, and the next one, read the chapters. Again, we need some missing words here. So fill in those missing words and then match them with the hints we've got below. Okay, so pause this video and think, fill in the missing words and match them with the hints. Okay guys, the first one. So we're through reading this. We're through reading this. We're through. Now this is a phrase which means finished. We are finished. So this one has the same meaning as number 2. An expression meaning finished, and it's followed, noticed, by a verb ing. We're through reading this. We're through doing this. We're finished doing it. All right. Now the next one, we're gonna move on to a new book. We're going to move on to a new book. Move on means to continue to something else. So do something different and get a different book. And this is 3, isn't it? Move on to a new book, move on to a new film, move on to a new class. We're going to continue to the next one. The last one here, this one here, it's read through the chapters. Read through the chapters. And this one means, and it's an expression meaning to read in order to find some information or check or correct something. Read through. Read through something to find some errors, find some information, read through. So for example, if you do some writing homework in your English class, your teacher will need to read through your text to try and find some errors, but also to read through to understand what you want to say. All right? Okay guys, so now we've talked about those missing words and the meanings. Let's think about our pronunciation. So which words do we stress in the phrases? I'll do the first one with you. We're through reading this. We're through reading this. The stress is on through reading. So big stress on through. We're through reading this. We're through reading this. Now how about the rest of them? Let's pause this video. Which words do we stress in these examples? Okay, so the next one, we're going to move on to a new book. We're going to move on to a new book. So we stress on. Move on to a new book. Move on to a new book. Also, notice we've got a bit of linking here. Move on, move on. Move on to a new book. Move on to a new book. The last one here, read through the chapters. Read through the chapters. Once again, we stress through. Read through the chapters. Okay guys, so now we looked at those multi-word verbs. Let's take a look at some other various phrases that we heard in the conversation. First one is this one, get lost in translation. Another one here, be genuinely curious. This one too, it's a classic. This one too, adore it. And the next one, write an essay on it. Finally, get lost in the words. All these phrases, I think they were used to talk about books that they like. I'd like you to match these phrases with these hints here. You can see the hints on your worksheet. So pause this video. I'd like you to match these phrases here from 1 to 6 with the hints from A to F. Pause this video and think. Okay guys, let's do the first one together. So for this one, get lost in translation. This phrase means that a phrase can lose the original meaning in a different language. So if I translate, for example, an English phrase or maybe an English joke into, say, German or Korean or any other language, it's not going to have the same meaning. It's not going to have the same, well, it probably won't be funny because the meaning will get lost in translation. I might say it correctly, but it's not so funny, okay? So when you say something in a different language, it can lose its original meaning. The next one here, be genuinely curious. Be genuinely curious. This is kind of a collocation and it means you are sincerely interested. You really want to know. I'm genuinely curious. I'll say it again. I'm genuinely curious. So this one here, let's think about our stress. We have a big stress on genuinely. Genuinely, by the way, 4 sounds. Genuinely. Genuinely curious. And small stress on curious there. Okay, how about the next one here? We've got, it's a classic. It's a classic. Now, in this case, one of the speakers was talking about the book. I think it was Crime and Punishment, right? Now, for this one, he said, it's a classic, which means it's a book or a film or whatever that many people think is very good. It's a classic book. It's a classic film. Many people agree this is a good film, a good book, whatever. Even a classic car, we can do that. A good car from the past often. Now, how about the next one? This one here. Adore it. Adore it. To adore something means to love something deeply, very strongly. I adore it. I adore it. Also, notice here we stress the second syllable. Adore it. I adore it. And also we link the R sound with it. I adore it. I love it very deeply. Now the next one here, write an essay on it. Write an essay on it. So this one here has the meaning to write a long paper about something, and it's usually for school or university. Write an essay on it. Write an essay on a subject. Write an essay on a topic. So we use the preposition on in this case. So write an essay on it. An essay. Lots of linking here. Write an essay. Write an essay. Lots of linking. Write an essay on it. Even more linking. Y-O there too, right? Write an essay on it. Oh, again, on it. So much linking here. Write an essay on it. Let's say again quickly. Write an essay on it. Okay, now the next one. This one was get lost in the words. So for this one, it means to become so interested in something you forget about everything else. You're reading a book and you completely concentrate on the book. You enjoy the words, you enjoy the writing so much that you get lost in it. Get lost in the words. Other things we could say, get lost in the music. Get lost in the performance. Whatever it is, you get so interested in something you forget about everything else. So get lost in the music, get lost in the words. Stress on lost, and also get linking there. Get lost in the music, lost in. Okay guys, well done. So in this lesson we learned some phrases to talk about books that you maybe don't like, or maybe movies you don't like. Also we learned some multi-word verbs that we can also use to talk about reading. Also we had some various phrases which you could also use to talk about books or movies, things you like or don't like. So I really hope this was useful for you. I've been Lee from Proper English Online, and there'll be more intermediate lessons coming very soon. I hope this was useful for you, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye bye.